What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one, I'm going to be talking about the one and only Tesla stock and what you should be watching for going forward. I'm also going to break down why tomorrow is going to be an absolutely massive day for Tesla because Tesla is going to be announcing their Q2 deliveries report. And this is going to have a massive effect on the share price. Now, before I begin thinking about what's going on with all this information and what's happening with the Chinese EV sales that just came out and what the expectations are for Tesla, I do have to mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I am not a financial planner, so take none of this as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire Tesla community as a whole. Anyways, let's talk about Tesla, what's going on with the share price. This thing was up about 1.66% for the day on Friday, holding up quite nicely. But the question is, will Tesla continue to pump all the way up to $300? Is it going to make a very small move to the upside, or is Tesla about to get a massive rug pull? This is going to depend heavily on what happens with Tesla's deliveries and production report that comes out tomorrow. It's coming out tomorrow in the morning. I don't know the exact timing, unfortunately, but I know it comes out early typically. Sometimes it comes out around like noon here in the Pacific Coast, or sometimes a little bit earlier than that, but I'm not 100% sure about the timing. So we're just going to have to wait and see on that. But for now, just know it's coming out tomorrow, typically early in the morning, typically early, like before the afternoon for the East Coast. And we're just going to have to be ready for it. Please be very ready and just know it's going to have a very big effect on Tesla. But the question is, to what degree will this affect Tesla, and to what degree may Tesla end up beating expectations? I'm going to talk about that in just a couple of minutes. First off, looking at these current inventory levels, we saw a drop in the Model X and every other model, but the Model X had a relatively high hold above these levels because we saw this increase at the very end of the quarter before it still started to slow down. So the Model X was looking a little bit weaker at the end, but everything else was looking very strong. There's a very good chance that Tesla's going to do well. We saw a big surge in their deliveries near the very end of the quarter, seeing these big drops that happened as we saw Tesla continue to qualify for more tax write-offs and continue to sell more near the very end. Now, this is what typically happens approaching the 4th of July. And once again, it's looking like Tesla's in a very good place. But I want to talk about something else that's important. We have some new expectations that came out from Wall Street. We're expecting Tesla to hit another record for Q2 deliveries. I think it's very likely Tesla's going to achieve that, but the real question is, to what degree will they beat? That's really what the big question is. Do they barely beat? If they barely beat, we may not see Tesla make a massive move to the upside. If they absolutely crush expectations, this thing could explode and squeeze very hard. In my video from yesterday, I mentioned that Tesla has a relatively high short interest. We're seeing lots of shorts piling in. So they could either cause Tesla to drop even more if they start doubling down after a bad report, or if Tesla does very well, this thing is going to launch to the moon because of another short squeeze. It's got to be one of those two. I'm leaning more in the direction that Tesla's going to beat expectations, but I'm not 100% sure about to what degree, but I'm going to show you guys what I think. So right now, we're going to be seeing a new record most likely. Wall Street's expecting 445,000 deliveries by Tesla, growing at 74%, which is very, very good. Now, when the data comes out, we're going to see a big reaction on Monday. So please be ready for that. That's what the main expectation is right over here. I think Tesla's going to do a little bit better because my expectation is a little bit different from that. We are starting to see more and more optimism from Piper Sandler. We're expecting 469,000 deliveries overall. And if you look at Tesla's overall charts, you will see that over the last couple of quarters, Tesla has been seeing some massive, massive growth compared to what we saw in like 2021 and very early 2022. But the point is, we have some very steady growth on Tesla's continuing to grow, and expectations remain very high for this company. So it's no surprise that that is what continues to happen. So Piper Sandler is saying 469,000 deliveries, which is pretty high. Alex Potter responded by saying it's a little bit high, and I could agree with that, but we'll just have to wait and see because with Tesla, sometimes you never know. The gross margin is going to be very important for them too, but we're going to find out more about that during their earnings. Deutsche Bank is saying that their price target did end up rising again, so that's another pretty decent sign. They're saying to buy Tesla. But other firms have maintained more negative stances on Tesla, saying they're downgrading it and doing this and that. Honestly, it does not matter. In my opinion, what matters more is just deliveries at this point. The Q2 report has been revised to 448,000 from Deutsche Bank. They're expecting 168,000 in North America, 153,000 in China, and 87,000 in Europe, with 23,000 for the rest of the world. I think there's a good chance Tesla's going to get something around here. That's what my prediction was, like around 450,000. I think that's likely going to happen based off the numbers I showed you guys last week, and based off what's very likely. Now, Guggenheim, I don't know if I said that right or wrong, but Guggenheim basically is saying that they're forecasting 446,000 to be delivered for Q2. That's very possible as well. We'll have to wait and see on that. And we're continuing to see some very positive guidance for the company because when you look at these numbers, we're expecting 1.82 plus million deliveries for Tesla for 2023. That is very high compared to 1.3 million of 2022. That would give us about over 900,000 or around 900,000 plus on average for the first half. And we're going to be very close to that if Tesla does meet some of these expectations. But remember, the deliveries should keep on going up for like Q3 and Q4 according to expectations and guidance, especially for Q4. So it seems very likely that Tesla can meet this target. And the more deliveries there are for Q2, the more likely it is for this to happen, and the more likely it is for Tesla to get some very, very positive feedback by the end of the year. And that's why the share price is going to get some very, very positive results if Tesla breaks these records. There's a very, very good chance it's going to happen, but just to be safe, we're going to break down more numbers in just a few minutes. Don't forget the record for Tesla was 422,000. We'll see if Tesla could break that. I believe they will break that, so I'm still very excited. Now, looking at this, Elon Musk said that analysts are comfortable with their production of 1.8 plus million, but he wasn't as sure about how they're going to do with deliveries. We're not as sure about that. We'll have to wait and see on that. But if anything, things are looking good so far. Now, going back to some more numbers before I start talking about China, we're seeing very steady growth, for Tesla, and this is looking quite nice for them. When it comes to their sales overall, let me just fix this website for 1 second. Things are looking very good for them as well. We're likely going to see a big growth. Wall Street's expecting 445,000. That's above the 254,000 we got during the same quarter of last year. On top of this, we're continuing to see big expectations from analysts. Others are expecting very high numbers too. I already talked about these, and it still is looking very, very optimistic. But here's something else I wanted to bring up, and that's what's happening in China right now. In China, we just saw more and more EV sales reports, and things are looking very hot over there. To start us off, if you look at like Li Auto, we had 32,000 deliveries in total, exceeding 30,000 for the first time. That's up from 28,000 in May, 25,000 in April, and beyond. That's over 86,000 for the second quarter. That's very, very strong for them, beating expectations. The bottom line is this is very strong for them, expecting 40,000 deliveries sometime again in a month, sometime this year. Strong numbers for them, and Chinese sales are looking very good for them. For NIO, the numbers just came out at 10,707 vehicles delivered. That's a sharp increase from 6,000 in May and 6,600 in April. Once again, a very, very nice amount of growth from them. We're seeing more sales of the ET5. The ES6 has a lot of deliveries coming out soon too because lots of pre-orders are coming in. And we're continuing to see NIO being a part of the price wars, so that's looking very good for them. They have very strong guidance. We're expecting a 20,000 delivery a month again from them. Going forward. That's what the CEO said, and a very strong second half of the year according to the expectations. XPeng gave 8,600 versus 7,500 in May, 7,000 in April, once again beating expectations and doing quite well. This is also bullish news for them, seeing more and more growth, and they're expecting 10,000 plus sales again monthly very soon, according to their management team. So Deutsche Bank is also saying things are looking pretty good for them. We're seeing some very, very good news for them. BYD came out with a record 240,000 EVs in May and 210,000 for April. Once again, doing quite well. EV Chinese sales are continuing to increase. The new energy vehicles are expected to get us around 500,000 plus sales for just between June 1st and June 25th. That is some very bullish news. The bottom line is when you look at what these analysts are saying, look at this expectation right here. Let me just double check this and show you guys something very interesting. They're saying that over 150,000 of Tesla's deliveries, I think it was on this website, should be coming from China. So a large chunk of them are coming from China, and the Chinese EV market is getting stronger and stronger and bigger and bigger. So once again, China is a big part of Tesla's sales. A large chunk of them come from China, and China is looking very strong so far. So there's a very good chance Tesla's going to break another record in China and do well over 150,000. That's what my target was as well. I think they're going to do better than that looking at all of these numbers. We could see them get very close to 160 plus thousand, which could bring the overall numbers even higher for Tesla. So my prediction is around 450,000 deliveries for Tesla. I think this could help the share price improve, but just to be safe, we have to wait for the numbers to be more certain. If Tesla does well over 460,000 deliveries, this thing is going to go flying very, very hard to the upside. We're going to see a short squeeze, and Tesla could get closer to about $300. If Tesla does around 450,000, it could also see some upside and make its way all the way up to at least 280 again, or even higher than that, to like 290 plus. It could get very close to 300 as well, even off some news like that, because it's going to be another all-time record for them and another break above the higher end of expectations. If Tesla barely does 440,000, we're likely going to see this thing trade. I'm not too sure about that because it's very mixed. You could argue that it's a new record for Tesla, but at the same time, they just barely met expectations. So we might see the EV share price try to push up a little bit, but it may not be that explosive if they only do like 440,000 flat. And if they do under 440,000, like 435,000, 430,000, Tesla's going to likely sink a bit, so just be very careful because expectations are very high. Now, looking at the numbers, it's very unlikely Tesla's going to do under 440,000. I think they're most likely going to do close to 450 or higher. But just to be safe, be prepared just in case. Now, if Tesla only does like once again like 430,000 around there or even lower than that, it's going to see a big rug pull. It's going to come all the way back down to the $200 area. So just be prepared for that just in case, right? We don't know for sure, but I am leaning in the direction of 450,000 deliveries. I'm still very optimistic for this company moving forward. All right, so we will see what happens tomorrow around the daytime. All the data is going to be released. It's going to be massive for the company, so please watch for it. And until then, thank you all so much for listening. Tesla to the moon because the long term is still incredibly bright. And peace out.